Oh, sitting in Big Jim's garage, taking you all the way to Los Angeles this morning. Mike Caudill, the man who's all over Fox 2 this week. We saw you here in Detroit, man. Good segments with them as well. How are you, buddy?
I am hanging in there, man. I apologize. I'm kind of giggly right now. When you're on site at 2 a.m. at an auto show and you sit with one of your other TV colleagues, have you ever done that face swap app? We were swapping our faces, and we just about lost it here. Everybody on the show floor at, what time is it, 5, 6 a.m. or dying laughing.
By the end of the Detroit Auto Show, the North American show here, when we're doing all the press event stuff and then trying to do a morning show at the same time, Mike, by the end of it, I'm just as loopy as can be, man.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. But you know what? I'm like a kid in a candy store, like a 2-year-old kid that loves cars.
Have you ever seen, we waited 27 years for the Jeep Gladiator, and I have to say, watching it, I stopped yesterday, watched the press event with the guys up there. I have never seen not only that kind of buzz, it's been a while, but an actual payoff. Everyone was just over the moon over it.
I try to be honest in how I evaluate vehicles, and, I'm not tied to any automaker. I'm a journalist, and I try and just call it like I see it. So the Blazer came out, the Chevy Blazer, and it's so underwhelming. It's such an awesome nameplate, and it didn't do what we thought it was going to do. The Jeep Gladiator, it's done more than any of us thought that it was going to do. 27 years, people have been asking for this vehicle. And when you look at it in person, it looks mean. It looks aggressive. They took a Ram 1500, slapped the Jeep, DNA into it, and the thing is amazing.
It's fun to me, too, Mike. I do want to get back talking about the Blazer because I agree with you, and there's a point there. But what was really cool, too, about watching the Gladiator, I love the details they did, even in the photos. The photos that FCA released when they were pulling it with the gray one, did you notice what it was pulling? A Grand Wagoneer.
I did. And did you notice that the Wagoneer looks smaller, significantly smaller, when we all know in reality the Wagoneer is, it's a big vehicle.
And for people who don't know, that's the next big thing that's coming from Jeep. We're all waiting for that one next. But
yeah,
I got an email this morning from Mopar already saying there are 200 options available for the Gladiator when it hits the market.
I just read that release here a few minutes ago, and I received 3 emails yesterday from those that I know in the auto industry already asking, hey, how do I get a hold of one of these? How do I buy one of these? I want to do aftermarket parts for these. So, I saw 20 different tweets and Facebook posts where everybody said, check out Jeep's new moneymaker. It's printing dollar bills.
It is. And now getting back to your point, I was thinking about the whole idea. Obviously, we're in an SUV crazy market right now, automotive. But when you talk about these, not sport, but fun, the fun vehicles, the attitude SUVs, we've seen the photos. I had the pleasure going out to the Design Dome in Dearborn, and Ford showed us the Bronco, a photo of it from a distance, but I got to see it.
Bronco.
I saw it, dude. God is my witness, and then, believe me, they took our cameras and our phones away from us. We couldn't take them out. They showed us it was a brief photo. It was off in the distance, but they said, you've seen more than anybody else. And they showed it.
How long ago was this?
2 months ago. 2 months ago.
Was this was when they pulled the cover off and there was another cover on top of it.
Well, that was the one, but do you remember the photo? The photo we saw.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
So we saw it, but you can see the outline, and now you've seen the baby Bronco as well. We've seen the photos from the dealership, and even the baby Bronco has this amazing attitude to it. And then you see the Jeep Gladiator and has this kick-ass Jeep attitude. And I drove by a new Blazer yesterday, and I didn't realize it was a new Blazer until about 5 minutes later, because to your point, you have this incredible badge and this incredible opportunity to make something that is badass, and you made it just generic. All it looks like is a Traverse with a trim package on it.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. And I'm super tied into the Ford team over there with the Bronco. I'm actually a Bronco owner. I have a 75 Ford Bronco. And, I've been pinging them for 2 years on this. We thought it was going to be at the auto show last year. Here's what I know right now on the Bronco is that, the Detroit Auto Show, as you know, they're going to celebrate this year, and then they're going to go away for a year, and then they're going to re-emerge in June the following year, 2021. I'm putting my bet down that in the next year you will see the Bronco launch, but not in association with an auto show. They'll do a specific event for the vehicle and bring journalists in to do a massive debut for this thing. It's going to be mean. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be everything that you want in an off-road vehicle, because Ford knows they have to go compete against Jeep. The Blazer, it won't last one product cycle. And I feel so bad for General Motors right now, because the news on Monday, everybody talked about the plant closures, and that's a stinger. But the other news is that they're dropping 6 passenger car vehicles. So they're going through a restructuring right now, and I would say Ford figured it out a little earlier on this SUV truck thing. And they had made their announcement, months ago that they're doing away with passenger vehicles with the exception of the Mustang. So
yeah,
it's a big deal.
I'm glad, by the way, that you were talking about Hyundai as well. That SUV, the third row, with the seats 8 one.
The Palisade.
Wow. The look, Hyundai has stepped up their design queue, and I don't know if they're taking it wherever they're getting it from. Their vehicles just keep getting better and better looking time and time again.
I'm going to give you a little inside scoop on Hyundai, and hopefully this doesn't bite me in the behind, but there are a lot of folks on that team at Hyundai that have come from Ford Motor Company. And I think that you're seeing a cool meld of DNA between a Korean company and a lot of those that have come out of Ford Motor Company, an American car company. So I think that's what we're seeing. The Palisade has kind of a raked roof line. It's 3.8 liter under the hood, so plenty enough horsepower, 3-row seating. I sat in the third row, which also can be reclined. I'm 6'3". I fit in there just fine. Plenty of luxury. They haven't announced pricing, but it will be competitively priced in the marketplace. And I think they're doing the right thing. They have 5 SUVs, Jim, on the market, 5, and they'll have 7 to 8 by next year.
It's crazy. And I don't really consider it an SUV, but I would say I was excited to see. I just spent a week driving the 2019 Kia Soul, doing a review on that, and it's just this fun quality car to drive.
Yeah.
But the 2020 finally coming out with a hybrid. It's funny, we all talk about SUVs and everything, but Kia figured something out with this Soul because it just keeps selling like crazy.
Yeah, and here's what's great is not only is it selling like crazy, but what I love is that they've listened to customers, right? The automakers that get it are the ones that listen to what their customers' needs are. I just noted a minute ago, I'm 6'3". So for this new one, they've increased the wheelbase on that Kia Soul with the new model that's coming out to provide added legroom for those in the front and those that are in the back of that vehicle. So they're providing more legroom, and that's listening to customers saying, you know what, we can reach a larger audience if we just make the vehicle a little bit longer. So they're doing great things over there at Kia with that Soul that's coming out. 6 different trim levels. You noted the hybrid version. They will have an EV version of that Kia Soul.
Oh, they will. Good. Okay.
Yeah, they will. They'll have an EV version, 6 different trim levels for that vehicle. Hats off to them with that vehicle. Not only that, but then the Stinger as well, which is, if you've driven that thing is bringing a fire-breathing Korean Dragon, man.
It's so much fun to drive that. Yeah, and we see here in the Detroit area that Hyundai and Kia have their tech center down towards Ann Arbor, so we kind of get to see some of how they work together here in the States on these vehicles. Another vehicle coming out of the Motor City, the Rivian, is that I say the Rivian R1T?
Rivian, it's Rivian. No, it's phonetically correct. It's Rivian.
Is this a boutique? Is this a boutique like a Falcon type thing, or is this something they genuinely believe they're gonna be able to mass produce this?
I was in their booth yesterday speaking to their CEO. They started taking orders 2 days ago. Their design center is in California. They've got an engineering facility here in the U.S., and their manufacturing facility is in Normal, Illinois. 600 employees already working on the development of this vehicle. It's hot, man. I mean, it is literally the world's first truly off-road electrified vehicle with 400 miles of range with the truck, and they have the SUV version as well. And, I mean, like I said, it's electrified. What's going to make it unique from an off-road capability standpoint is that the electric motors are mounted on the front and rear axles. So you will have independent control of those motors to create something similar to like a locker. For those listening in, a locker is what is used to engage the front and rear tires so that you don't slip when climbing up an off-road embankment. So they're doing that with this vehicle. I love the design, and they're going to bring this thing to market. They are working very hard to do that. They have a full booth display here at the show.
Wow. Well, I'm excited for them. I know they're here in Farmington Hills in the Motor City, man. Mike Caudill with us at the LA Auto Show live right now. Checked up on coffee and no-dos, apparently, right?
No dose, baby, no dose. I'll tell you what. Hey, Jim, I'll tell you what. You know what my favorite car is here at the show?
That's literally, I swear to God, that's what I was going to ask you. What's the one that caught your eye?
I'm going to tell you my favorite car at the show, and it involves the entire story. The Lincoln Aviator is my favorite car here at the show. The Lincoln Aviator, because it's what's always been considered, Grandpa's brand, right? Oh, Grandpa drives a Lincoln.
Right.
And the Navigator came out last year. It's a great vehicle. I've test driven it. It still looks like an Expedition. just with a little bit of luxury. But the Aviator is an all-new look and feel for the brand. They've got this raked roof line in the rear that gives it that performance stance that you would expect in a Range Rover. The hood,
I like the speed lines and the shaped front end of it. The front fascia on that looks, just the photos I've seen so far, Mike, I love the look of it. It just looks faster than like you said. Lincoln's always looked like bricks on wheels to me.
3.6-liter twin turbocharged V6 under the hood.
Wow.
Which also is a hybrid and electrified as part of a Grand Touring edition that will pump out 450 horsepower.
So is the Aviator that we're looking at today, is that the next generation Explorer that we're going to see in a year or so?
I hope. The raked roof line, I think, is something that they'll likely keep to the Lincoln brand from an exclusivity standpoint. You're going to get for $70,000 or whatever they come out with the final price on that vehicle, you're going to get more luxury packed into that one vehicle than you will with a Range Rover in the market. Two cool tech features on this: heads-up display, pedestrian detection on the front of it. The Detroit Symphony Orchestra is responsible for all the chimes on the inside of the vehicle. And my absolute favorite tech feature here at the show, if I get on a plane in San Diego and I fly to New York and I leave my keys in the hotel or my vehicle in New York, when I fly back to California, my cell phone doubles as my key fob. So I can turn my car on, access my vehicle all via my cell phone.
See, I love this. The whole, it's so funny to me that, you know, the bad news this week and the rough news for GM, but still at the end of the day, our world's excitement about the auto industry, anytime something new comes out and you see it. I posted those pictures of the Gladiator this morning. People went crazy. It's the best, man.
It is. It's the best. And it means, you know, it really means for the consumer in the marketplace, there's still cools out here in the market. You know, the number one question I get asked is when are autonomous vehicles going to come to market? And are the automakers still focused on bringing electric vehicles to market? And the answer is yes on both. But last year, I mean, take a look at what Dodge did. They launched 5 different iterations of the Challenger, from a 1320 Scatback to a Demon to
the wide body version, and the red eye and everything else.
Red eye. So, you know, people still want horsepower. They still want to hear the sound of the engine. BMW launched their new M340i yesterday, and it's not an M3. It's an actual cross between a 3 Series and an M3, and it gives consumers a chance to get the exhaust, the exterior look and feel, minus all of the horsepower under the hood.
Yeah, my favorite car of the year that I've driven so far, Mike, was the Bullitt Mustang. That for under $40,000, you can't touch that. You cannot touch that car.
You can't touch it. Drove it in San Francisco. It was so much fun to drive. 2 days up in the back hills.
Oh, you're one of those jerks. I didn't get on that press tour. I saw you guys out there. I'm like, man.
I'm one of those guys. And, well, I don't know if you know this, or I don't know if I told you this or not, but I have a really good tie to that movie.
To Bullitt?
My grandfather, if you go back and you watch the movie, when Steve McQueen walks into the hotel in San Bruno in the movie, that's my grandfather, the manager at the hotel behind the counter.
No.
Yeah. So
Your grandpa's in Bullitt.
Yeah, he was actually an announcer for the San Francisco Giants on the radio in the 60s, and he was actually a broadcaster for KTVU Channel 2 in the Bay Area as well. So kind of runs in the family, I guess.
So you being a Ford guy, are you buying this whole Shelby thing about the Little Red or Big Red that was found out in the middle of the desert just happened to be around the time that Barrett Jackson had an auction going on?
No. No.
Thank you for saying that. It was like, isn't that amazing? I'm like, it's not real, dude. They staged that thing.
Oh, I mean, there's always got to be marketing speak that keeps people excited in the industry. And, you know, I mean, I like to always be transparent with this stuff. Like, I am a Ford guy. I've been a Ford guy. I love Fords. I have a Ford Bronco. I've got an F-250. I love the brand, and it's one that you know, as a car enthusiast, you want to associate with a brand. But I also have the ability to separate the wheat from the chaff, to see what other automakers. I mean, I've had a BMW. I've had, a couple BMWs, a couple Audis. As a car guy, you kind of get through all of these vehicles. But
Sure.
I'm really happy. You know, as a red-blooded American dad of an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old, and you know, happily married guy, to see Ford Motor Company standing strong, although they're, grumblings this morning. I read in the news over the last day and a half that, they're shortening some shifts at some of the assembly
realigning
plants.
some plants too. Yeah, some people.
Yeah,
Yep.
Reality is we just all have to strap our seatbelts on a little bit tighter and understand that the industry is going through some changes, and there's going to be some folks that are not going to make the cut at the assembly plant level, and it sucks. It sucks. I mean, these are American families that just want to put food on the table for their families, but the industry is changing, and part of it is the responsibility of the government because they have a lot of federal mandates on automakers to meet X, Y, and Z, whether it's fuel economy or emissions.
Yeah, all the cafe stuff.
So, all the cafe stuff. As James Earl Jones said, a baseball movie. I'm totally drawing. Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams.
If you build it, they will come.
Sure.
It's the same mentality in the industry. Build a cool car, people will buy it.
Well, that's what people always, but they always talk about, like, well, why are passenger cars going away? I'm like, because we never had SUVs as an option 20, 30 years ago. And now we look at them, we go, I can just do more. I can just do more. And even with a CUV, I feel more comfortable whether I'm driving, a Rogue or something. I mean, compared to a small car. Hell, my first car back in the 80s when I was in the service was a Chevy Spectrum. I mean, it was a piece of crap.
Exactly true.
But now you're like, the entry-level cars are awesome.
Half of these vehicles, they are awesome, and half of these vehicles are built on car platforms anyway. Consumers want to ride higher. They want that feeling of protection and security, and you get that with some of these sport utility and crossover vehicles, especially here in Southern California, downtown Detroit, where you've got tighter roads, traffic, congestion. People want to be able to not only have a car that is small enough to get you into a city from a crossover standpoint, make it easy to park, but then on the weekend rolls around, they want that flexibility of infotainment and storage, cargo capacity, fuel economy, and more.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%, Mike. Man, you're so good I appreciate you taking the time out this morning, too. I know it's been crazy. We're putting a bow on everything today. What's coming up?
We are if we're leaving here today. It's done. We're going to be done for Media Preview Day number 2 here in Los Angeles, and we're wheels up for you guys in Detroit in about 4 weeks, right? So
absolutely,
we're going to be out there. We're going to be out there to see what's shaking. A lot of great cars here at the show in LA. No signs of slowing down. Show floor is packed with cool cars, concepts, but most importantly, vehicles that people can buy today.
All right, we'll get back here. I'll buy you lunch or dinner out of Vincetta Garage. We'll go get a burger.
I'm in.
All right, deal, man.
In it to win it.
Hey, real quick, Shelby 500 will be here in Detroit. Didn't I see some of the Ford display? They had kind of alluding to that.
They will. They will have that vehicle there in Detroit. They will also be showing off their new booth display, which is definitely something cool and different. I don't know if you read it. The press release went out earlier in the week on that, but they debuted an entire new booth display that will run from here through New York, all crate containers. So the shipping containers that you see in the ports, their entire booth is made up of crate containers.
Do you know what makes sense? When they did the display for the Bullet Mustang here at the Woodward Dream Cruise back during the summer, it was all set up in that crate motif like that. And we're like, well, that's new.
There it is. That's the launch of the new booth display. So a lot of great stuff here, Jim. Always fun to be on with you. Hey, Mike, one quick question before I let you go. I'm just thinking about this. We were talking about trucks earlier, and obviously the pickup wars that are going on right now are unprecedented. Yeah. Ram, I've got a Ram of the 2019, and I love it. I actually wound up leasing one because I liked it so much. The F-150 is awesome. The new Chevy, the Silverado is great. I love the front fascia on it. Does Nissan have a place in this world with the Titan, or are they just going to be second tier? No, Nissan does have a place in the market, especially here in Southern California, where people have slightly more diverse outlook when it comes to a lot of the domestic automakers, because we're in kind of a mecca for people all around the world here in Southern California. You see tons of Titans and Tundras. They're definitely here. I just think it's hard to compete with America's best-selling truck in the F-150, right? Yeah, it's hard to compete with a Ram. I just had a conversation. You probably remember C. Van Toon from Motor Trend years ago. Okay. I was talking to Van yesterday, and we were both sharing in the fact that it's really hard to pick right now between a Ram 2500 and an F-250. They're that good. Yeah. I totally agree. I'm a fan of the Nissan Titan. I'm glad to hear that it's getting
You know, we had him first last year. That's a big-ass truck, but it was fun to drive, Mike. All right, hey, where do we follow you? I assume you're on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle, bud?
It's just my name, Mike_Caudill, and then you can follow everything else at ourautoexpert.com. That's where Nick Miles and I post all of our content for vehicle reviews and more.
Cool. All right, we will post this there. Thank you so much for the time, man. Grab me a double-double with cheese from In-N-Out, and we'll see you here in the Motor City.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
All right, there goes Mike Caudill out at the L.A. Auto Show, wrapping it up. Okay, there you go. Now, you want to follow, you can subscribe into Big Jim's Garage. It's pretty simple. Do it on iTunes as well. You can hit me up on Twitter at WCSXJim. Go to WCSX.com. We got our Garage Cast up there as well. We also have lots of videos. If you want to see some of the photos we were talking about of the Jeep Gladiator again, and if you're in the Motor City, you can just text me. Well, not me personally, but the radio station, 248-398-WCSX, where I do mornings at Big Jim's house. Keyword Garage. You just type that in, we'll send it to you. Lots going on. Up next, Motor City, man, the North American International Auto Show. Be well. Take care.